What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. This is, and we are, the Vertcoin Core. Today is November 19th, 2021. Do be sure to smash that like, leave a comment below, and of course, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Market cap, 35 million. Volume, 232,000. Circulating supply, 62,728,000 Vertcoin. Currently, the price is 56 cents, 972 Satoshis against a Bitcoin value of 57,917 United States funny money. Descending right into the charts here against BTC, there's a couple of things I want to show you guys. There is a pattern that looks like it wants to start repeating itself. You can look here, April to where we are now. And then you can go back and look here at October of last year to the bottom, basically the beginning of this year. You see, we started with a peak here. It fell hard. You did have a couple of relief rallies along the way, and then eventually a pump, which didn't stay up, but did kind of come down, lean out. And right now we're waiting to see what happens next. Well, we can look all the way back here to the 24th of October. Again, it falls. You get a couple of relief rallies along the way, harder leg down, and eventually kind of starts to level out, and then you get your pump, right? Same thing happened here. You saw a couple of green candles come in here, then we saw a little swoop pattern, and then bam. All right, so if we're looking to see what could potentially happen here, are we going straight down? Are we going to go sideways from here? You could look back and reference a relatively recent event right here. It looks like potentially we could actually see another pump that could bring us up to around 3,000 Satoshis. By comparison, by size comparison, right? This is obviously a smaller situation here, right? So if this were to play out similarly, this would go up a lot higher. And if, say, it comes back down and we could be looking at, well, when will we see an all-time high? If this were to repeat and we came to 3,000 Satoshis here, came down for a little while, and then saw something take place, you know, say February, March, this thing could easily, 4,000 Satoshi line blasted, and then who knows? Who knows? That is just one possibility, though. I'm just showing you guys what's happening here in the chart. All right, but there is one more thing here against BTC that I think you guys might find interesting. If you take a step back and look at this in the weekly, you see that there is another time when a bottom gave us a very similar formation right before a major blast. You probably can already see it. It's right here, right in the beginning of 2017, just before the major bull run. You see, it was at a low. It was in a very bad place, coming off of this rally here in 2015, dropped, had another little pump here, April 2016, and then it was asleep for a while, and then dove even further, right? So then we ended up with this little creature right here. All right, now it isn't exact. It doesn't look a whole lot like the formation that we are in right now, but you see it is coming in off of a bottom, right? It started to level out, dipped even further, and then we see this situation. It consists of a couple of pumps, eventually gets all the way up to 6,000 Satoshis, and then drops all the way back down through all the support, and then you get a pump. I'm not looking at this in the daily right now, but I'm sure this came down, leaned out, and then took back off again. Bull market ensues. Everybody makes money. Yeah, right. a lot of weekends, but look at this. Wow, massive. All right, that isn't even this. I know against in the last video, I showed you guys this against USD, where it was this part of the formation that looked similar to where we are now. But against BTC, It's all the way down here. At the bottom of the bottom. For this cycle, anyways. See that? Right there. So that could very well be an indication of where we are now with this. As you can see, we kind of came down, leveled out, fell even further, and now we're having this formation come in. All right, we have a pump here, it's coming down. If we started to see candles going up here, guys, I would be massively bullish. I already am, but it'd get a lot crazier. I'll tell you that now. Here against USD, to revisit our beloved purple box, which we cannot seem to get away from for whatever reason. We are on our way back through this. I know in the last video I said that I expected us to continue upward from here. I was hoping to see a little bit of distance manifest itself between here and the next candle that would take us upward. I didn't think we'd put this much distance in between them, but I really am still expecting to see another candle come off of this and take us even higher than before. Not only are we headed straight at the bottom of this purple box, we're also hitting the bottom of this trend line here, this channel rather that I've created. All right, remember the last time we fell below this this bottom line of this channel is when we had this blast here, and now we're falling through it yet again. All right, something to keep an eye on. Also, you may have seen me tweet out this cross, this bullish cross, this golden cross here. We have the 21 and the 50 both crossing through the 144. It may look now like this is just going to reverse and nothing is going to come of this, but I beg to differ. That would be something that almost never happens. It does happen in different time frames, but in the daily, it's extremely rare. I'll show you. I'm actually starting to see this price come back up right now. Fascinating. Absolutely wonderful. Here we go. All right. So if you look at these lines here, hopefully I have that big enough where you can see it. All right, so here's your yellow, your blue. That's your 21 and your 50. You got your 144 right here is your reddish, kind of dark pink line here. And here's your cross, right? This is your bullish cross. You follow this all the way back. Here's your bearish cross coming off of this top right here. This is when the Elon energy FUD or whatever they're calling it now. This was that. All right, so we flipped back. But before that, we saw a bullish cross here. Right there. January 31st. Beginning of this year. That first big pump. All right. Already crossed. And look where it took us. 18x. Y'all remember that video? It took us 18x to 235. Looking back and zooming in, you can actually see a couple of minor crosses that do take place here along the way. This is the cross I was just showing you guys, and this is the bearish cross just before that. You see we did have a pump here that never got above the 144. I mean, the pump did, the price did, sure, but the 21 and the 50 never did. All right, so going back, here's your bearish cross, here's your previous bull cross, but you can see this going all the way back to 2019 is relatively flat. I mean, sure, we're still kind of making our way down here, but by that time the 144 had already caught up with the 21 and the 50, so everything was pretty much in the same area. So to see these short crosses taking place here and there isn't really that big of a deal. Also, it's very important to note that I'm zoomed in really far right now. So you might see these pumps kind of going up and coming back down, and then, okay, cool, well, where does that leave us now? But guys, look at this. This is not that same kind of pump. This is a completely different situation. This is a wake. This is no minor pump, and if it does take off again, we can definitely expect to see more separation between the 21 and 50 against the 144. These are going to take right back off, and your 144 is going to take a while to even start moving up. You're going to have a huge separation here, and I'll show you like basically what happened here. All right, massive separation. If we look back a little bit further, beyond all these little pumps and this little flat area here, you bring this down, and here's your bearish cross coming down off of the bull run 2017-2018, which started, you got your bull cross all the way back here, March 2017, bullish cross. We can even zoom this in a little bit further so you can get a really good look at it. We're still against the daily here. All right. Looking a little bit further here. There we are. It's like January 29th, January 30th-ish, 2017, bull cross, golden cross, if you will. This is way before anybody was thinking end of year, massive rally, all-time highs, all that good stuff. Look at this. Bullish cross, golden cross, and it just never flipped back, never looked back until that bull run was all but over. And here it is zoomed out so you can see it a little bit better. Bullish cross here early in the year. Bearish cross long after all-time high. There's a $12 peak. And here's your bearish cross here, February 2018. And we've been under that bearish cross ever since. Again, we did have, I mean, look how flat this is. Would you not expect to see these lines kind of go back and forth when it's this flat? Of course you would. Of course you would. But look where we are now. Vertcoin is awake. This is real price action. This is happening now. Separation. Big moves. And here's your bullish cross. But if you look at this in the weekly, these flips between bullish and bearish crosses are even more rare. Here you see this whole period where we saw a couple of flip-flops back and forth. None. It's purely bearish. All right, we crossed back here over September, November, and we stayed bearish until April. March, April timeframe here, 2021. And we've stayed bullish. Prices are up. We've stayed bullish the entire time. The 144 is way down here. We're still way above it. Bitcoin, we haven't crossed it yet. Not in the weekly or in the daily, for that matter. In fact, we're actually pretty close to crossing it in the daily. Just to give you guys a reference here. See, so if this does continue upward, and it looks like the 144 wants to continue downward, even though it's kind of leveling out now a little bit thanks to this pump here. We could, if this does go up, we will flip bullish here, and then from there it'll be just a matter of time before we do that in the weekly time frame as well. But as of now, we've got a little bit to go before that takes place, but we're well on our way. Again, against USD, just to show you how rare. There's that flip, 2017. On up, stayed bullish, came down. And this is the only time, guys, in the weekly time frame against USD, this bullish cross that we got here, March, April time frame of this year, is the first time Vertcoin has flipped bullish against USD in the weekly time frame since before all-time high. Since the beginning of the rally that took us to $12. Take a look. Here's your golden cross. Bearish, golden cross. It's in the charts. And that one actually snuck past me. I didn't even notice that until I started paying closer attention to these crosses and different time frames. But there you see it. To move things right along, I want to first give a quick shout out to Vertcoin.fun for this awesome and informative website. If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it. I thought it'd be a good place to start my conversation on the upcoming block reward halving. Thanks to this countdown here, we can see that it should be taking place in about 18 days. From what I could tell, if you live in the States, Central America-ish, it should be taking place somewhere around 7 o'clock in the morning from what I gather so far. I've been trying to figure out exactly when that's going to happen because, surprise, I'm actually planning on live streaming it. Some of you may have noticed I was live streaming off and on a couple days ago, just kind of testing things out. If you noticed it, of course, it's because I did it wrong. But of course, I did it wrong because I got likes and stuff on it. But whatever, no big deal. But yeah, absolutely. You heard it here first. I am planning on live streaming the halving. So if you are interested, I will keep you guys posted on exactly what time that should be taking place. And join me. Hopefully it's not too early. If it is, and you're a morning person, I guess you're in for a treat. It looks like the 8th will be on a Wednesday. So what is the halving and what does it mean for Vertcoin moving forward? I'm sure many of you already know this, but the currency reward miners receive for processing blocks on the chain will be cut in half. Currently, it's at 25 Vertcoin per block, and moving forward after the 8th of December, it will be coming down to 12.5. So 12.5 Vertcoin per block, and it'll remain that way for the following 4 years. So does this necessarily mean that we can expect an immediate massive pump as a result of the halving? Not necessarily. As you can see on the chart here, the last halving did take place in 2017 when we went from 50 to 25 Vertcoin per block. Now, of course, the halving also took place in December, and you know what happened in December of 2017. Prices went crazy. But as you know, 2017, 2018, everything went nuts. But we can tell, thanks again to this awesome website, that halving took place on December 11th. We can tie that back into the charts and see that that date is extremely close, within a week of all-time high. This could be the most fortuitous correlation of 4-year cycles imaginable. We did have, here's an awakening earlier in the year, a lot like we had this year. We had a bigger pump here at the end of October, and then eventually went on to all-time high. But yeah, similar situation. People were probably getting just as frustrated here as we are now. I mean, I'm not that frustrated. I've gone through too much of this to be mad about it. But that was the first halving. And historically, that is all we have to look back at. And look how close we were. Here's the date of the halving, December 11th. Here's all-time high, December 6th, 7th. Crazy. So looking at this chart now, with everything that we know, everything that we just learned, could we expect to see a new all-time high around the halving? Historically, that's possible, sure. Could we see this kind of price action start to materialize over the next 18 days? Absolutely, sure, why not? Vertcoin's awake. It's been awake all year, just like it was in 2017. And here we are approaching another halving. 18 days is awfully close, but of course it could happen. But I would be remiss if I didn't tell you guys the opposite side of the coin, which is, again, everything was pumping at that time. So since we only have one historical halving reference for Vertcoin, and there was a lot going on at the time, I think we should take a look at what happened when Bitcoin halved. And this is the chart of all 3 of Bitcoin's halvings up to this point. Starting here, its first halving occurred in November of 2012. And here you see it didn't coincide with an all-time high that occurred immediately. Rather, it was slightly delayed. So we didn't see a major run-up before the halving. Actually, I mean, we did see a couple of small pumps before these halvings, but it wasn't major. The major run-up that took Bitcoin to multiple all-time highs after each one of these halvings didn't occur till sometime later. But it played out this way every single time. Halving, new all-time high. Halving, new all-time high. Halving, new all-time high. And we can use log scale too against the dollar, just like Bitcoin. Here it is. There's that previous all-time high, 2017, December 11th. Here's the bullish cross that took it there. Bullish cross, all-time high, and halving around the same time. Bearish cross, here's your bullish cross. We're still bullish. Same year as a halving. Same year as a halving. Where are we going? Can this thing take us to all-time high? Pff, you betcha it can. You bet. And you can see that just looking at all these lines I don't even remember drawing in here. Look at this. I think this probably goes to a different, probably not log scale chart, but look at this one. Top, top, where we going? Look, this is just below where I said I thought we could go. $22. Check that out. Isn't that amazing? There's my blips. This is my trajectory. We're a little bit behind. Vertcoin likes to get behind. Could happen. Could happen. Oh, and that actually brings me to an interesting point. If you saw just now, if you're looking at the screen, I just kind of did with my cursor, like up like this, right? Like thinking like maybe here-ish it could happen, if not right now. You know, like if it doesn't happen on the halving or before it or anything like that, like if we wait a while like Bitcoin does, that would take us out to summer of next year, right? I know there's been a lot of hoopla and stuff about, you know, end of year prices and stuff like that, but dude, again, price action, these charts, this space doesn't care about that. It doesn't care about Christmas. It doesn't care about the end of the year. It just happened to play out that way. If this does drag out to the summer, we could be experiencing yet another extremely fortuitous event. I'll explain. Now, many of you out there may be disappointed at the fact that Ethereum 2.0 will not be releasing this year as previously anticipated. We were kind of hoping it would happen around the same time as the halving, but that's not going to be happening. According to this article from The Motley Fool, which came out on the 2nd of November, so earlier this month, developers Tim Byko and James Hancock announced a June 2022 release date for ETH2. So it's not going to be Q1. We're not going to get ETH 2.0 till June, which is great because it gives us, as a community, a closed, tight-knit community, to grab some more VTC, mine as much as we can until we get that massive influx of miners. And hopefully over that time also we'll start to see that big run up to new all-time highs over that same time period if we haven't gotten there yet, which is also, of course, still a very real possibility. It really is amazing just how much things in this market tend to rhyme and repeat. This is the beginning of that bull run in 2017 against USD. Can you imagine having sold your Vertcoin on this candle, like way down here somewhere, out of frustration, just to get dumped on by BitConnect or rug pulled by Sushi Swap or something like that? This stuff happens. These things are out there. Money always makes its way to real value. Vertcoin has and always has had real value. If it hasn't had it up until now, with all the developments that we've seen over the last 12 months, it definitely does now. If you follow me on Twitter, you saw my tweet earlier today with the sloth getting ready to cross the street. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Speaking of Twitter, and to round things off, I want to give a quick shout out to Burka2MK for tweeting this out to his followers, supporting the channel. I definitely appreciate it. Go ahead and give him a follow. It's a very active community member. And while you're there in the Twitters, go ahead and give me a follow too. I've got about 80 followers right now, which is kind of embarrassing, but I'm usually pretty active on there, and it's a good way to stay up on what I'm thinking between videos. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ramble on out of here. Do be sure to smash the like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Tip address in the description if you feel so inclined. I appreciate every single one of you, and I will see you in the next one. Vertcoin Core, out.